your personal bubble. If you have personal bubble, you can play a little bit more aggressive. If you don't have personal bubble, you cannot play as aggressive. Which is why when you're already charged, so like here's the thing, chat, when you're already like 75, 70, even like 60 charge, you really don't want to just greedily push up to look for personal bubble charge if you're already in a good position. Because what you could do is you can, for example, if I'm gonna go training range here because I really think this is actually a pretty important thing because this is kind of cool, all right? And you'll see pro Zaryas do this especially, all right? Because things like countering ults and things like that are more important, all right? So I'm a pro Zarya, right? I look like one, right? Well, that's not what I wanted to do at all. That's not the emote. I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know the head fell off. Holy crap. I've never actually watched that emote. I just like bound it. So here's the thing, like let's say I'm like 75, 80 charge, and let's say this is the enemy team. If I have personal bubble, that might mean I can go from this position over here to this position here. You see this? More aggressive, still cover, but I can do more damage here because I'm more aggressive and I get to shoot backline. I get to do all sorts of cool stuff, right? Yeah, right? But like, let's say I do this. I'm on this angle and I just like walk in front and take damage to get from 75 to like 90 charge. Well, now this is the bad news. I got 15 charge. Yes. But because I no longer have personal bubble, it might not be safe for me to go right back to where I was. The enemy team might go, hey, that girl doesn't have personal bubble. And they might start to push me. In which case, I have to back all the way back to this position over here. So the irony is that I have higher charge, but I'm doing less damage because I'm in a more conservative, less aggressive position. And not only that, there's this really, really, really gray area right here where I'm looking for damage, and then I'm starting to kite. If I don't time that well, I might actually get punished and killed. You kind of see what I'm saying? So now this is a very general tip, okay? So you're gonna have to actually take this and apply this in your own ranked games. There is no actual visual example I can give to you right now outside of like kind of visualizing it in your head. But the point being is that once you're already at a fairly decent charge, don't go looking for personal bubble charge. Play aggressive positions and sit on your personal bubble as a failsafe. That way you can min-max the amount of value that you can get with the relatively decent charge that you have, and you can keep your life longer, right? Or you'll be more defensible, you'll get punished less. So then people in chat are like, well, then how do you get 100 charge? Like if I'm not, well, you do, you absolutely do. But you get 100 charge with your projected bubble off of anybody in your team that is either aggressing in or getting aggressed on. So a lot of times you'll see like Zarya's use like both bubbles really early in the fight looking for charge, and then as the fight evolves, they'll keep using their projected bubble basically off of cooldown to get value, but they will sit on that personal bubble until somebody starts putting pressure on them, or they have to block a cooldown, or maybe they're grabbing so they go in and all in there. Then they'll use it because they want to min-max the long period of time where they know that the enemy team cannot or will not push them because they have personal bubble. Right, exactly. It's the same thing as McCree. Actually, that's a phenomenal example because this is something I've talked about with McCree, but there's actually a direct correlation because McCree flashbang is the same thing. I can go in, go in there looking for flashbang value, right? And sometimes that's the play. But a lot of times with McCree, it's about taking a really greedy angle, a really aggressive angle with cover. Oh no, they're pushing me. Die, scum. Genji and Tracer, you will play an angle, and Genji and Tracer have to give you respect because they're scared to just outright push you because they know you have flash. So as soon as you aggressively look for value with flash when you didn't need to, well, now you have to play like a sissy and go back to your team because you're gonna get pushed on that angle. So there are certain cooldowns in Overwatch that you can look for value for, but there's also certain cooldowns in Overwatch where you don't need to look for value. They're like fail safes. You know, what's actually funny is Diva's Matrix is a little bit like that as well. It allows her to hold aggressive angles because she can Matrix herself, right? On an angle, if it's at the right time. Hog Vape, right? You don't look for value with Hog Vape. You look to hold a position that allows you to play aggressively, and then they're like, oh man, we can't push him. He's just gonna vape and run away, right? It's like the psychological war. Sleep dart is another one, right? It allows an Ana to be maybe a little more aggressive with nade, to be a little more positioned with her aggressive with her cooldowns. Now, to be fair, things like sleep dart, you can absolutely get offensive value out of sleep dart, and I do recommend getting offensive value out of sleep dart. But just there are some parallels there. So you just have to kind of look at your cooldowns and be like, am I going to get value out of sleep darting aggressively when they're running like Diva Doomfist? Or do you think it'll be better for me to hold it as like a fail-safe or as a discouragement against the enemy Doomfist? Right? And notice that what I'm talking about with Zarya bubbles, I do want you trying to use your Zarya bubble early and like when you're at a safe distance to try and get early charge. I definitely recommend that because it's if you can get 20-30 charge out of it and then 20-30 charge out of your projected, well then there you go. You've got decent charge, and from then on you can be a little more picky. For example, like right here, you could absolutely double bubble this. Like you need to be careful, but you could bubble and then just like play careful, because unless you get hawk hooked, which you should be able to defend against, you'll probably be okay. You'll probably be okay. But do you see what I'm talking about? You scuffed it up. You scuffed it up real bad. You did not even see the monkey or hog. But it doesn't matter. You could burst the bubble and just run away. And yeah, you still have to run away, but you're going to survive. So, there you go. Wall wasted, hook wasted, bubble wasted from their... and you know, that's a pretty good favorable cooldown trade for you guys, right? And that's despite you making the error of not even knowing that the hog was there. Now, this is the key point. This is where we have to say, I'm not going to say this is a mistake necessarily, but now we have to ask ourselves, how does this impact us as Zarya right now? And chat, I want you to answer this for me. How does this impact us as Zarya right now? You're naked. Yeah, exactly. So now you can't stay here. You can maybe cut in here. You'll probably be okay in here, but you can't push this anymore. And again, I'm not saying this is a mistake. I think this is early enough in poke stage. Like you need to be building charge here. So you're looking for charge. I get it. But you're naked. You have to play like a beta, exactly. Right? And it looks like we're kind of doing that, which is good. This not so much. This is too aggressive for me. This is too aggressive for me. This is you're front lining here, and you do not have personal bubble. So it's almost like you're looking to take charge, but you're like, oh, I don't have bubble.